Greetings, everybody! I am the Starving Martian, and today we are looking at Mars Attacks number 4 of 5. This, of course, being part 4 of the original miniseries put out by Topps Comics back in 1994. And so we've been going through the entire series. Last week, obviously, we covered issue number 3, and so we're plowing on along. We're almost concluded with this original miniseries, and it's been quite the thing, quite the ride. I've been enjoying. Hope you have as well. So here we have a very nice bit of cover art featuring some advancing Martians, and we're told actually we're told a couple things. Break out the body bags. The death squads are here. Alright, so there's that. Although the death count was probably highest in the first issue, but whatever. Also, to save her life, Nurse Mckay strikes a deal with the Martians. And before I actually read the issue, just reading that little blurb there, you think she's turning traitor on Earth or something. And it's not quite that bad. And so there's Nurse Mckay and some dead people and some Martians, and it's not exactly how it plays out in the actual issue, but it's close enough. So let's get to the actual issue then. Let's see what we got. Similar to the last issue, we have the same page here. I do believe there's more blood splatter. You have a little blurb catching you up on the last few issues if you've missed them somehow, and then you go straight to Sicily, New York. And it's a good thing this blurb is here, because the story really doesn't do much to catch you up on what's going on. In fact, the Mars Attacks graphic novel, this sucker here, doesn't have the individual covers in it, and you honestly cannot tell where one issue starts and where the other one ends. It just flows together into one story, which is actually pretty cool. I do like that. Sometimes multi-part stories in comic books get bogged down catching readers up on everything that they probably know already. And so this one just doesn't insult your intelligence. It figures you know what's going on, and if you don't, you can figure it out. So let's catch up with our newfound friend here. This, of course, is what was his name? Oh yes, Roger Bridges. Struggling to survive, struggling not to succumb to his arm wound, which was getting quite nasty and smelly, and he poured some rubbing alcohol on it, which I'm sure helped, but probably didn't do everything he needed. And now he's making himself some nice juicy Molotov cocktails, which he puts to great effect. The Martians can't understand how this one human is evading them and destroying some of their troops. Although they're pretty much dismissed as having paid for carelessness, before they themselves are also blown up. So he wants to celebrate his victory, but he's kind of sort of a little bit on fire. So he has to stop, drop, and roll. Important reminder, kids. And then he finds his old friend Tugman. You remember Tugman? He appeared in the first issue. If you don't remember him, too bad, because we're not telling you who he is. But this was the guy who was supposed to go out and find help and never return. Well, he's kind of sort of on the dead side. See? Told you, didn't I, to stick with me? And you stupid fat son of a... And then we're treated to a shot of Tokyo, Japan, which apparently isn't doing well. It doesn't tell us what happened to Tokyo. I'm assuming just saucer runs. But we don't see any giant bugs or anything. But it's crumbling. It's in flames. Bad day to be in Tokyo. Also a bad day to be in this hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. Because there's just giant bugs crawling all over the place. Plus those death squads we were promised in the cover. Cover made a promise it actually keeps this time. And so Nurse Mckay and her friend Winston are there trying to survive, armed only with a big stick, which becomes more or less useless against a giant fire ant. So good news is the Martians take out the ant. Bad news is they take out the top of Winston's head too. He was kind of using that to keep his brains in. And here's a nice menacing shot. Now remember, the Martians have no control over these giant insects. They thought they were going to. Didn't quite work out that well for them. And so these death squads are hunting humans. They're also trying to eliminate these bugs before the bugs eliminate them. And so he grabs a hold of a couple guys, manages to munch at least one of them in half before getting taken out. So there's our poor half a Martian. And unfortunately, that half a Martian apparently was their medic. And now they got injured Martians and nobody to heal them. And they realize they're in a hospital with trained personnel, somehow miraculously still alive. So in desperation, they decide to get Nurse Mckay here to heal their wounded. They drop her, I don't know what that is, first aid spray of some sort? She doesn't know what it is either. They give her a good slap on the face to wake her up. Guys, it's not how you treat a lady. And we're cutting back to the Amazon, where Thomas here is struggling to survive. Last time we saw him, he had taken this Jeep, and apparently his ride didn't last that long. He's staggering around. He's covered with blood. He's covered with slime. He's covered with bug juice. And he's got a huge tick of some kind swelling itself on his leg. Oh, and he's going crazy. He is going bonkers. And who can blame him? So he finds himself a machete and casts his eye down at this bug. Now, if you look closely at the proboscis going through his leg, it is kind of bent and twisted at the tip. It's a little bit on an angle, so I'm guessing that's why you can't just slide it off. And he says to himself, you can't be thinking this. And he takes the machete and swings it in the air and thunk and screams in pain. And I was left wondering, what did he do? Did he have to cut his own leg off or something? And I don't think we find out in this issue. Whatever it was, it sounds painful. Now, Nome, Alaska. See these saucers here? This giant tsunami coming down over the town here. And this is most likely a reference to card number 26 of the original trading card series, the Tidal Wave. And if this isn't a intentional reference, it's a pretty darn good coincidence. So hopefully none of you guys own property in Nome. Although there's no place like Nome. Anywho, back to our friend Woody Brown. He's managed to make it as far as Alexandria, Virginia. Still trying to escape, trying to survive, trying to find his mom. Instead, he finds himself a nice bicycle. Unfortunately, there's a charred, almost dead guy there. He's only mostly dead. And so he's not giving his bike up without a fight. Without making scary zombie noises, which scare our poor kid away. Like, come on, man. You are never riding that bike again. You are never getting up again. Let the kid in. Oh, well. I guess when you're dying and all you have left is your bike, you cling to it. So Wally is left on his own, on his feet. Back to Massachusetts and a very special episode of ER where Nurse Mckay's been given, okay, but that bottle was not actually a first aid spray. You open it up and there's these medical instruments which all look like scalpels. I do not want to get a Martian doctor at any point, because every single one of their healing tools looks like it's designed to inflict pain and suffering. And she has no idea what to do with it. They try holding a gun to her head, but that doesn't impart any knowledge. So they get the idea of giving her some medical equipment they find in the hospital, figuring she might be more familiar with it. So she figures, what the hey. Strips down to her undies because apparently she wants to, match up with Thomas running around in the jungle. Actually, no, she uses her uniform to staunch the bleeding there. And goes digging in her medical supplies, figuring this is her only shot of survival. Says, now try not to kill it, and maybe you'll get out of this in one piece. So you see, it's not exactly striking a deal with the Martians, as the cover implied. But in fact, it's more just like she's a nurse and she can heal, and enemy combatant or not, she's going to do her job. And hopefully not get shot in the head in the process. So cut back to our friends the Martians. Komo Dath here, still not having a good day. And here we see some inner Martian politics between Komo Dath and the Payak commander Telian PR. And we see them, more or less blaming each other for everything going on, as usual, and trying to one-up the other. Trying to blame each other's divisions. Well, your division projected that. Yeah, well, you accepted this. And he's getting so flustered and frustrated and yelling and screaming at everybody. And who can blame him? But the commander of the Payx here, Telian PR, is not going to let this opportunity slide by him. As Komo Dath stalks off, promising, mark my words, Payak, this world will be ours, no matter the cost. He says that they've passed the point of no return. So apparently they haven't conquered Earth yet, but they can't go back to Mars. All their resources have been poured into this endeavor. And so he storms off in a huff, and Telian PR turns to one of his cohorts and tells him to have a stress evaluation run on Commander Prime. That's Komo Dath. And do be subtle. So they're trying to get him dismissed as being unfit to command. So we cut back to Boston, Massachusetts, where the Martian that Nurse Mckay's been working on is apparently going to survive. They're quite pleased with her work. She's done a good job, and as a reward, she's going to get shot in the head. No, seriously. So they bring her out. She's looking quite miserable. They load a huge cartridge into a large gun, and she tries pleading for her life, but they shoot her in the head. I do like the way her hair just kind of arcs back and flays out. Eee! But apparently Martian headshots aren't as fatal as you might think they are. Martians load up their ship, bug out of town, leaving Nurse Mckay to stagger around a little bit before realizing that she's been branded. She's been given a big old Martian tattoo, which she is clearly not happy about. I don't know if any of you guys ever woke up with a tattoo you didn't want, but she concludes by saying, Winston, why do I get the feeling that you were the lucky one? And so what has she been branded for? We'll find out later, but first we cut to a submarine where plans are being made for a final desperate initiative, which we'll learn about next time, but we're out of time for now. So this has been the Starving Martian. We'll catch up with you later, guys. Enjoy yourselves, but always, always watch the skies.